to the first edition of the Sunday Footy Wrap. We have all of our special guests sitting in here, and I'm going to make this look a little bit prettier. Guys, welcome. I know this is our first live session, so this could be a little bit messy as we get it going, but thank you all for coming on. We're going to speak everything footy from the weekend game, but we're going to get to Lance first. He's a little bit dusty, and we're going to have a chat, Lance, about a huge win. I understand over 1,040 days since last time that Law had a win. Congratulations and welcome on the show.
We're losing you a bit here, mate.
Are we?
Yeah, we're just getting a bit scratchy.
Oh, that's probably my voice from the last night party.
That's better. I've muted the other boys for a minute. Congratulations on the win, mate. How did it feel, Lance? Must have been very special.
Long summer, going on and off with getting new good result.
All right. So if I put in every third word together, very happy after a pretty good result. I think you're in a terrible reception area there, actually, Lance. But, mate, how was the feeling after the game with the boys? Past
players, past members, past supporters, everyone was there. There was awesome feeling.
All right, well, that's awesome. Lance, you have a terrible connection. As much as I want to speak to you, I'm going to have to move you out of the room because it's terrible, and I know you're not feeling well. We will do something special with you Wednesday night and get you in as well. Good on you. Congratulations. Sorry, guys, that was a little bit too hard. We're learning on the fly here pretty quickly. I've unmuted you other guys. Tim as well. Congratulations on a huge win yesterday at Eltham.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was outside, so I hope you can hear that.
Ben's going to come out of this interview, I think. We've got another scratchy line. It's pretty tough. But Ben, I understand. Sorry, not Ben. Tim, I understand. 2,429 days since the last time Eltham won a Division 1 game. The boys must have been pumped.
We're very excited. We built it up that we could change history today on the weekend, and we had the 22 players that could be the ones that did it. So we had a bit of a build-up, and we were able to get over the line. So it was special.
So overall, tell me the feel of how the game went. I've read a few of the reports. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but I've read a few of the reports, and I understand it was a cracking game from start to end.
Yeah, it was. Like we come out, obviously the last two games that we played, we started pretty poorly. So we built up the first 7 minutes to give us an opportunity to be on the front foot, which we haven't had the opportunity to do in the first couple. And we set the tone of the day. But to their credit, they were coached, they implemented all the things they wanted to do. They threw some options at us that we probably hadn't planned for, with Darcy Barton starting forward and spending a lot of time forward of the footy. And yeah, mate, it was an arm wrestle to be 1 point down at three-quarter time and getting the way back up, so it was good.
You have it, Matty?
Yeah, one of the things I think the major word there is opportunity, and once you get up to first division, we've spoken many times how clubs go up and down. So to get a few wins on the board early and try and keep your spot up in first division, it's a great way to start the year.
Yeah, I've actually been pretty relieved today to kind of get the monkey off the back, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
it's been a good, say, 12 hours. I know the boys were pretty happy with it. We went and watched our under-19s play last night at Diamond Creek, and they all enjoyed a couple of beers together, which was good. So to get the monkey off the back and to get that win early in the year is just something now we've just got to keep building on.
How big is the step up? One of the questions I had for you is just how big is the step up from Division 2 to Division 1?
I think it's more the tempo of the footy. So you can do as much work as you want pre-season, running, trying to get fit, but it's been able to sustain the intensity for that long time, which probably is one thing that we've had to deal with in the first couple of games. We've had a lot of cramping and a lot of rotations that we probably hadn't planned for the day. So it's definitely the intensity. It doesn't matter, whether it's the start of the game or the last 10 minutes. The intensity's there. So in games, you can kind of dwindle out if you're the top 2 or 3 in Division 2 and you know you're going to get the job done. But yeah, this level, I think it's around that intensity in the contest. It's sustained for a lot longer.
And what impressed you the most yesterday? I guess I know the win's a good thing to have, but you always have something to build on and something as your kind of your core. What is it yesterday that you kind of impressed you the most?
Our leadership's probably been one of the big things. You lose 7 or 8 blokes out of our premiership side, which were the tail end of guys over 30 that have got that VFL experience. They're leaders in the footy club. Having Darcy Valance still as a co-captain, that he's over that. He's 30 now. Being able to lead from the front. We moved into roles that were important for us yesterday to have the leadership on the 2 wings. They could see the game unfold before it probably happened and being able to put blokes in the right area. So probably yesterday, just the leadership in those moments. It was an arm wrestle at times and we fumbled at times because we felt that perceived pressure. But to get the leaders that we kind of, the core leaders we've still got, the blokes we're still learning to develop in that role, I think that was one of the most things I was impressed with for the boys, but also some of the young blokes coming through. Colm Culligan, it's his 2nd year of senior footy for us. We played him in the back half of the first 2 games, knowing he can provide options up forward. Just his marking ability yesterday to control the game in the air was, we swung him forward for the day to see if we could get a score, and he was able to deliver for us. So he was one that really stood out for us.
Yeah, I think from a perspective, it's always going to be a fight when you're the side coming up, and everyone's. I think there's probably 4 or 5 sides, to be honest, that are going to fight it out for that relegation zone. But getting a win on the board so early, you must be pretty pumped about that, Tim.
Yeah, look, I really believe the talk around relegation. Hard when you're a team coming up and you're obviously in that talk. From outside the 4 walls, we obviously know that's one of the areas that you're going to be critiqued on, is whether you go up and you come down. But we kind of broke down as a team. It wasn't my goals, it was the players' goals. A good 8 goals for our footy side. And if we can tick them off week to week and we do go down, that we've put our best foot forward and we've been able to achieve our goals for the year. And there's things that you can't control, and that's wins and losses of other clubs and how teams present on the day. So
100%.
It is one thing that's in the back of your mind, definitely as a coach, that the pressure's on.
That's footy.
So I don't think there's a game that you can earmark and you go, all right, these are the ones that we have to win. Like West Preston is still going to be a strong club. Their coach, Ian Aitken's, a great coach. Obviously, on the weekend, McLeod, it was an arm wrestle, and they pushed Manuel the week before to only 20 points. So it's going to be week to week. If we can upset a top 4 side, as you would like to say, then we're going to consolidate our side for next week.
Well, from our perspective, Tim, great to get a win and get going. We've got a lot of background noise there. We're going to let you go, but we thank you heaps for coming on today. We'll get out to the game shortly, and we'll interview you after the game as well. And thanks for being part of the Sunday Wrap.
No worries, thank you. Sorry about that.
Thanks, buddy.
All good, mate.
Yeah. Ben, this is one of those situations where you're so well organised and so quiet.
Well, I think I'm using a computer, so I'm hoping that's going to help the cause rather than a phone.
This is much clearer.
Yeah.
I think he was watching his dog.
I've got dogs, and dogs, and they're inside, and when they bark, they'll bark. So
this is live TV. We get no say. Let's talk about it, Ben. You had a huge win yesterday, 22 points over someone I consider to be an absolute premiership, good chance, really good chance. Fitzroy Stars, star-studded lineup. 22 points isn't a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. It was a tough fought game, but you're 3-0 as the new side. I didn't have you in my top 4. Just shoot me now. And I didn't put Ivanhoe. You're just a total unknown, even with the presence of, the Gilmore boys and the other stars that are coming to your side. You've got to be over the moon, mate. I'm really happy for you guys.
Oh, thanks very much. Look, we absolutely are. We can appreciate, like everyone, that we didn't really know where we stood either. It's taken us, just a few weeks to find our feet, and obviously winning games early probably just instilled a bit more belief in our football club. And it's not just the seniors that are sort of winning and feeding off this belief. It's the reserves as well. They're also undefeated, so. It's been a dream start, really, from the footy club's point of view. We've really enjoyed the transition across from the amateurs, and look, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's more of a week by week thing for us. Until we sort of play against everybody, we'll sort of kind of understand where we stand within the competition.
Yeah, Matty, I think that background noise is you. When I pause you, it seems to disappear. So just pause when you're not speaking, your little microphone, and we'll work it out from there. Now, Matty did get down to your game, so I'll let Matty have a chat to you for a second. He was very impressed with what he...
Yeah, well, I was down there for the first half, and actually before that, the end of the reserves game was a cracker. It was a to and fro. You had 3 shots a goal at the end, and then finally there was a hole in the ball that probably could have been paid to Adelaide the night before, but the goal after the siren was amazing. So it actually set up for an amazing senior game. And it led into the first half was just 2 combatants who I actually rate as 2 of the highest in the 3rd division going at it. Both teams had ascendancies, but I was saying to you off air that the actual way you guys moved the ball forward was just, that little bit better than Fitzroy Stars on the weekend.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've certainly worked hard at that over the course of the pre-season. We had great numbers on the track in February. I think when you guys came down was probably one of the quieter nights we had because it was about 40 degrees, I think, on that particular night. But our numbers have been really high, so it's been a bit of a challenge to sort of work on, the full system, I suppose, in many ways. But since we've had the chance to sort of break it down a little bit, we've certainly started to feel like we're moving the ball, with a bit more precision, and then I certainly feel like we've been able to get some ascendancy in the first 3 games for the season. So, and you're right. I mean, the midfield for Fitzroy Stars is stacked with talent, and I thought our midfield did a pretty good job, all things considered, yesterday. But it was certainly a game of momentum swings, to which I think Fitzroy had a fair bit of it early. We were able to, just sort of, hang in there for a bit and then get our own ascendancy in the second quarter, like you said, and probably didn't really get the reward on the scoreboard. I don't think it, sort of felt like at halftime we came in with a few missed opportunities and there was a little bit of frustration amongst the group, but we had to sort of just sit back and realise that we're actually playing against a very good, Division 3 football club, and we're pretty evenly matched throughout the course of the game.
I had another spy down there that tells me Lockie Murdoch was outstanding. Walk me through his game. Was he best on ground in the end?
Yeah, he was, Lock. Yeah. So, I mean, that's his first game for the season. He got married round 1. God forbid who gets married.
That's why he's trying to get out of the house and play good footy. He wants to stay in the ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, he missed the first 2 games of the home and away season, but it's obviously a luxury item for us to be able to put a player of Lockie's ability back into the side in a week when, we lost Sam himself to, for his wedding preparation. So it's, they're not the same player, but certainly was a great asset for us to be able to put a mature age, experienced player back into the lineup. And, he started half back and he had plenty of the footy, and then we flung him into the midfield in the second half, and he's just a warrior. Yeah, he just goes and hunts the footy, and he's got good skills, and we love having him. So we're excited to see what his season sort of looks like, as he starts to get a bit more momentum and a bit more consistency.
I think the big change for me, we spoke again up there, is coming from the VFA to a very passionate Fitzroy Stars crowd on the weekend. So the one big thing that the Northern Footy League has is they have really good crowds. So have you adjusted to that, and has it been a bit different for the boys?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I think the report from the last game in the amateurs was there was about 30 people in attendance, to which 25 of them were in their cars and about 5 were standing outside. It's the first 3 weeks we've had great crowds. We had a great crowd for the Heidelberg West game. There was obviously a bit of a past player connection back, for the Paradians, to which that was really well supported. And I think getting a win certainly encouraged a few more to sort of follow us down to Ivanhoe Park and then again on the weekend for Fitzroy. And so likewise at Ivanhoe that night, it was a big crowd in attendance. It was a bit of a, obviously the radio was there that particular evening as well. So the players are just feeding off that. Even our Thursday nights, we've had good numbers inside the rooms, and there's just a really great vibe around the footy club at the moment, and we're just kind of just enjoying the ride that we're on. And we're on the road again this week out to Kilmore, which is something completely different to us as well. So we're looking forward to that challenge this particular weekend coming.
That leads me to my next question. There's a huge chance that you're going to be 4-0 going, into, this next section of your career, next section of your season. And I think anyone that can go 4-0 early is good chance. But you're an even better chance when you've knocked off someone like Fitzroy Stars. They're a serious outfit. I understand Neville Jetta had a good game yesterday. I understand the boys actually played really well at Fitzroy Stars. It was a competition start to end. I mean, you've got a younger group. I think your average age of your side is quite young, Ben, and that's probably a testament to the strength that they're going to be able to deliver to get you guys climbing up divisions.
Yeah, correct. I mean, if we are fortunate enough to move divisions when the time comes, whenever that is, we need to be in a great position as a football club. And, we haven't necessarily prioritised games to younger players, but certainly they've earned the right to play, and that's pushed a few of the experienced players into the reserves, to which we're seeing the best of both worlds. The reserves have started the season really well because they've got a few experienced boys playing in their lineup as well. So the young boys have come in, and certainly they've added a fair bit of spirit to the group. And I just was jotting down whilst Bongo was chatting. We've got over 10 new players that have already represented the footy club so far. When I read the team out on the first night, it was 9+ that we were sort of getting around and celebrating, I suppose. So we've obviously it's a fairly significant transition for the football club. A lot of new faces coming in. A lot of there's a lot of hype around that hasn't necessarily been for the football club recently. They've sort of felt like they're a little bit irrelevant where they were in the amateur competition. So far coming into the Northern Footy League, we've obviously answered every challenge so far from a football sense. We're obviously building from an off-field point of view as well. And we feel like our culture is really strong at the moment. And on the weekend again, that was a game that was just a genuine 50-50. It was 1 point the difference at 3/4 time, like it was the previous week. And the satisfying thing from our point of view is we've just finished the last quarters really well, and we've been able to sort of get the 2 wins from positions we've been in at 3/4 time. And, to go 3-0, I don't think anyone within the footy club thought that would be the case. And, we certainly don't think that Kilmore's going to be any different this week than a really fierce contest. They'll obviously be, pretty desperate for a victory after the events of their weekend against Layla. So, we don't anticipate anything than a hard contest. And, if we're fortunate enough to be 4-0 at a break, then wonderful. We'd still be really happy with 3-1 if that's the case as well. So we're just enjoying each week that we're playing within this competition.
I must admit, being down there as an old Prodigy myself, the nostalgia of Garvey Oval, there's something about it. It's just a beautiful place to play football. I must admit, not seeing the green jumpers was a little disappointing after my upbringing from the parade days. But just the atmosphere there, it's a beautiful ground to play football. It was in magnificent condition yesterday, and the wind held its well. It's a really good home ground to have.
Oh, we are really lucky. We value everything of our partnership with the college. I'm fortunate enough to be an employee of the college as well, and everything that we're able to do is through the support that the college provides us. The green jumper things, don't worry, has been noted by the playing group as well. Obviously, we've got a number of old boys that are playing for the team at the moment, and the navy blue jumpers are great. But again, they've got that a connection to the green jumper, and we wore that last week against Ivanhoe, and I don't know if it's going to be an away trip or an away game that we often play in it, but the boys are super keen to wear it again. So we are really lucky that the surface of the oval gets looked after, probably more than most ovals that we play on within the Northern Football League, because the college obviously takes a lot of pride in its fields, and we're just the beneficiary of being able to play out there every week or every second weekend.
Ben, let me ask you, you're going to come up against Moonda in not too distant future. Moonda's running, and we'll talk about Moonda later, but they've got about 11 or 12 serious injuries going on at the moment. So I honestly believe it's going to heat up hard towards the end of the season. I was going to ask you if Sam was rested, but you've already answered that. He's getting ready for his wedding. I'm not sure what's going on down at Old Paradian, but everyone's getting married. It's a coach's night, I think. But, there's a really good chance that you guys are going to be very solid in the finals. And I know it's very early to call that, but you're not just winning, you're winning well. And my insider tells me that the bond the group has there is something equivalent to a side that's been together for 5 or 6 years. Can you explain why that is or how that is?
Oh, look, I think just the nature of it being so new and fresh, and the challenge that was put in front of us to play in this competition and the great unknown. I think we set that up from the very first training session we had, where we basically just said we're all in this together as a football club, and whoever wants to come along for the ride. And I think once Sam and a player of Sam's ability and character committed to the football club, it just sort of had a bit of a flow-on effect to a few of the other boys that sort of committed as well. And then, we've had some long nights at training where we've often wondered, what direction are we really heading in? But as I sort of alluded to earlier, it's just sort of molded itself, and it's sort of, once we've been able to sort of break it down and certainly spend more time together, we've just sort of gelled really well. And I think we learned a lot in our very first practice match against Lorimer. We actually looked at Lorimer as a great case study to follow, because just the symmetry that they had, the way that they played for each other and moved the ball. A lot of the boys walked away from that game and said, that's kind of the level we've got to get to. And, we had a really spirited 2 practice matches leading into our first home and away game. And it just feels like the momentum's brought all that together there. And they're now socialising together. Obviously it's a really tight-knit sort of playing group, as you alluded to earlier. So it's sort of just come together naturally. There isn't anything that we've tried to do outside the box. I think just everybody gets along, and I think our football's sort of doing the talking. So
I think it's a testament to you, to be honest, Ben, because the feedback I'm getting is you're an outstanding coach and the boys respect you. Bonner's called me yesterday when he left the ground, and the amount of positive feedback was huge, wasn't it, Matty?
Yeah, look, I think what we've seen from the third division is as much as it's an unknown coming in, once you come from VAFA, where it is a high-level competition all to the lower levels, to coming into Northern Footy League, I honestly think between Old Paradians, Ivanhoe, Old Eltham over the past few years, that the standard of football has seriously gone up. And I've made a comment to Comty that from the lower end of first division to the top end of third division, there's such a closeness in the abilities. And I went from third division to first division, and you could be honestly shocked to know that they could probably compete and not do too badly in that instance. As I think Bongo was saying, it's the tempo. But from what I saw in the game yesterday from 2 cracking third division sides, is the standard has just gone through the roof. And to see there and say, I was watching third division yesterday was just incredible of how good the standard was, the skills, the marking ability, how tough it was, and the structure itself. And as I said, I mentioned before how well you guys move the ball forward. You could be mistaken to say you're in a second or, lower first division. So that's what I rang Comty about. I just felt like it was such a good standard yesterday.
Yeah, it is. Oh, look, we appreciate that as much as anyone else. We've really enjoyed playing, the first few games of the home and away season, and, sort of matching our sort of style against other club styles as well. And Fitzroy, that's the kind of style they play. It's an attractive style. It's quick, and they move the ball really well. And, we had to be on defensively for much of the game yesterday, because if you slept, they'd sneak one past you. And they did that, a few times. And, as I said earlier, the quality of their midfield is as good as anyone's. And those guys have played Division 1 football, if you go to every club, there's guys that have had experience within first division. And I think that's the benefit for third division is filtering through. We've got that ourselves, not just Sam. We've got guys like Kyle O'Sullivan has played, Division 1 football previously. Sean Desmond's played some Division 1 football when his time at Eltham. Jack Nicolo comes to us straight from West Preston, where he played 10 games of senior football last year. So we've got guys that have played Division 1 footy. We've also got this group of younger players that have just thrived since they've been given the opportunity to play senior football. And they had a taste of it last year in the amateurs. The club was really good and really patient with them and gave them some opportunities late in the year. But they wanted their 19s group to sort of stay together a bit as well, just to sort of maintain the connection with that group. So they've all come through. These boys have earned the right to play seniors, and some of them would walk into Division 1 clubs. There's no doubt, particularly some of these young boys. So we're really fortunate, really lucky. We're obviously really excited about where the season takes us. Wherever that heads, we're not really sure, but for us, it's exciting.
Before I let you go, Ben, I just want to go through the rest of the Division 3 results with you. The surprise of the week for me was Epping, 17-12, 1-14, beat King Lake 9-5-59. That's a big statement by the Epping Football Club.
Oh, I mean, they're a club that's coming down from second division, so you'd expect that and they've recruited well as well. So I would expect that they'd be really, their results will be really strong and really positive, and they've had a good start to the year. I mean, King Lake's only played twice now, haven't they? So they've obviously had a tough start to their season as well by playing against Fitzroy Stars at Epping in the first 3 rounds.
Pretty tough going. And then we had Laylaw. Obviously, we had Lance on for a brief 3-minute stint there. He's a bit dusty, which is fine and understandable after 1,040-odd days. You're entitled to be a bit dusty the next days. But that was a very hard fought-out game, I understand. And it really all came down to the last 3 or 4 seconds. And good on him for hanging on, because winning at the death knocks bloody hard, as you'll agree. But, 3 points is 3 points, and that gets Laylaw off the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah, it does. Oh, look, it's huge for Layla, and the Layla Football Club. I think, they've obviously had a challenging, few years, obviously, on and off the field. But, to get a win and, whatever, we can vouch for the belief that it's instilled in our football club when we won our first game for the home and away season. So, who knows for Layla where this takes them. And, their results leading into this, it's shown that they've been really competitive and that they're on the right track. So, good on them for getting a victory and, obviously, enjoying their football, which is great.
One thing sorry, can I just jump in? But one thing I did say, I spoke to Jacko on the weekend, Proctor, and one thing he said about Laylaw is around the contest, and we saw it first week against Epping. They were really tough, they were really solid. It was just a polish on the outside, I thought, was the only difference. And I think he kind of backed that up on the weekend. It's just their ability and their toughness and the way they compete every week for the first 3 weeks has been impeccable. It's just to get that wind and belief. And I think it does so much more for a club like this, not even just 1,000 days, but these young guys coming through, getting the club back on the way it should. I just think it's massive for them. And it's probably, for me, the biggest result so far of the year.
I could speak to you all day, Ben, but I'm going to power through these last two. Mernda had a significant win by 103 points over Reservoir. And, with a few injuries, Mernda are still the real deal for me. They're the hunted. There's no doubt about that. Fletcher's got a well-oiled unit going on there. And when he gets all these boys back on the park and maybe even Billy J leading into finals, they could be anything. And your counterpart of the Vafa who's come with you, Ivanhoe, they posted another 24-point win against West Heidelberg at West Heidelberg, which is no easy feat. West Heidelberg's pretty strong there. It's a very big ground. Me and Matty were there recently. Gee, the Vafa sides have made a statement. They're not here to make up numbers. They're here to play finals.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to Schiltzy post-match last week, and obviously we were thrilled with, again, one coach, the winning coach, and the other coach on the end of a tight loss. But we both were in agreement that the competition's a great competition to be a part of, and we both, value each game and each week. And I'm glad it's great to see Ivanhoe get a win again yesterday, and it is testament to both clubs that are coming across to the amateurs that we're certainly not going to be a pushover or anything like that, which I don't think anyone would have expected anyway. But the Ivanhoe guys, again, we'll be tracking their movements and their development as much as they'll be doing with us as well. So it's great to share it with a football club as well. This journey that we're on.
Well, we're going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, Ben. We're absolutely ecstatic for you, the club and the side. We, spent a little bit of time with you guys pre-season. Just one of the most welcoming clubs we've dealt with, and you're a gentleman of the game and well respected so much in this league already. So we wish you the very best, and I'm sure we'll be having you back on shortly for a couple more victories.
Good on you, fellas. Thanks very much, and thanks. You're doing a great job with the show, so I appreciate the time tonight.
Appreciate it, and have a good weekend. Well, there you go, Bonners. There's a bit of a wrap-up. We know we had some background noise earlier. It might have been a bit of feedback. We've just learnt, you and I, to, mute the mic when we're not on there. This is all part of it. Let's just move on, Matt, to the rest of the games while we've got them up. You managed to get to a couple of games. Obviously, we've covered the one there. What was the second game you got to, buddy?
I went to Greensboro, Bundoora. It was a bit tough to watch as an old Bundoora boy. There's a lot of kids there, a lot of youngsters and stuff like that. But I thought the way that Greensboro moved the football was impeccable. It would have been tough for any team against Greensboro that weekend. Just felt that they probably the pressure aspect of football. I'm big on pressure. I believe that no matter what the situation, it's the pressure. Have the pressure gauges on the AFL all the time, and it just felt like at times Bundoora were great pressured, and then it'd drop off for 10, 15 minutes, and suddenly Greensboro stack on 3 or 4 goals within 10 minutes, and then they put the pressure on again. So it was a little disappointing in the end. But at patches, it looked they moved the football really well, Bundoora. But yeah, well-oiled team under Matty Hyde was Greensboro.
I didn't manage to get there. I had some other sporting commitments that day with my other young bloke. But Greensboro's score was 15-21, 111 to Bundoora 5-8-38. So that was a pretty convincing win. We'll move on to the next one. West Preston defeated by North Heidelberg 95-45. Great win by the Doggies.
Yeah, it's a good start. Last come against Heidelberg round one. It's always hard when you get the defending champions round one. It would by no way disgraced, but then come up and get your win in the second. I always feel like that after you play the top teams, it's more important the week after to get that win on the board, to get the start happening. I really think, and we'll go through all the stuff, the rankings that I've had later on, but they're definitely a team that will continue to grow.
Yeah, look, I think they're doing good. And, after their bit of a false start, obviously, with Magic, which we've moved on from, but, that's a big void. We can't ignore how big a void that is. Then we move over to McLeod. We're defeated by Eltham. We obviously had Bongo on. Tim's, we've acknowledged it wasn't his error in the end with the noise, but and I've just texted him, and he's going to come back on and speak to us over the next few weeks. But great win for Eltham. That makes a big statement for them too, Bonners.
Yeah, and with everything, these teams coming up, and I think Bongo said it beautifully. Once you got to get the monkey off your back, get the first win on the board. First win goes to second, and then suddenly you're starting to get close to the top teams. You're going to upset one or two, and that belief grows. But getting that first win on the board in any competition, whether you're reigning champion or the team's coming up, is probably, to me, it's the most important game of the year. Get that up and running. You're on mute.
Sorry, let's talk about match of the round. Thanks, Matty. Talk about match of the round. Neither of us managed to get there. We both had other commitments, but Heidelberg getting up by a point. Is that grand final preview, Bonners, or what?
Look, I think so, but I've said for years upon years, the one ground I reckon I struggled to win at was Montmorency. It's just a different ground to play footy at. They play it beautifully. They play it brilliantly, but yeah, by way of stacked talent, you'd have to say they're the top two. To get the point, like Heidelberg, we've got to remember in the first half of the year is going to be pretty much playing away just to the state of their ground. So for me, that's probably just a bigger win for Heidelberg getting the away win. But definitely, it would have been a cracking game.
Look, and what a great wrap up there of Division 1. I mean, it was there. Hurstbridge obviously, went down to Banyule. That was a bit of a surprise for me. I tipped the Bridges, but all the credit to Banyule. 17-8, 110, beat Hurstbridge 11-14, 80.
Yeah, well, we talked about it last week. I think Banyule were on the wrong end of the points last week, but If you kick those extra goals, suddenly it gets a bit closer. But I think I've watched, seen the results of Banyule, and I know a few of the people down there, and I honestly think they're one of the teams that people will sit back at the end of the year and go, probably other people may not have expected it, but for me, I've got them, ranked pretty high in that division.
All right, let's move on to Division 2 before we do our wrap-up. We're trying to have a fairly short Sunday wrap-up, and the reason we're doing this is we're just trying to cram too much into Wednesday nights or Thursday nights, so it's a great time to talk footy while it's fresh in our mind. So in the MC Labour Division 2, we had St Mary's 15-11, 101, take care of Panton Hill 12-779. That's a good win for St Mary's. They continue to press forward and accumulate points, Bonners.
Yeah, you've got to bank your wins. No matter who it is, you bank your early wins. They're worth gold at the end of the year because things get close, percentages and stuff. So it's a good win to really push on for St Mary's.
Diamond Creek had Lorimer. They hosted Lorimer. Another convincing win by the Creekers, 19-13, 127, defeating Lorimer 5-4, 34.
Yeah, the boys down there, we saw them a few weeks ago in the night game. I'm a big rap of how they move the football. So, look at probably for something for Lorimer, it's probably learning on the spot the first few weeks, but they'll definitely find their feet. But, I think Diamond Creek is one of those teams that are young, quick, and move the football really well.
I want to give a huge shout out to Diamond Creek here on the weekend. They ran their raffle, Bonners. All of the money raised went to Harry Mooney, the young man that has been in that car incident. And, Sean Fitzpatrick put something up the other day. We had a chat in the morning and just 100% tip my hat off to any club that's doing anything for young Harry. Harry was also on our footy show Top Gun earlier in the year. And, we're communicating with the family, Bonners. We've offered to host a trivia night and raise a heap of funds for him as well. And we're communicating with the club. And, we wish him a speedy recovery and our hearts absolutely go out to his family during this very difficult time. And anything we can do to help, will. Let's move over to South Morang. They continued on their way. No walk in the park. 94 South Morang, 14-10, 94 defeating Thomastown, 10-13, 73.
Yeah, but same thing. As I said, a lot of these teams, the first few rounds, you're finding your feet, you're finding out, you're still trying to get your structures right. So to get the wins, South Morang's another team that'll be there or thereabouts. So to bank that win and move on.
Yep. And they were missing Josh Dinter Sunday again to his VFL duties, which gives other guys opportunities to kick goals. Whittlesea 15-24, 114, beat Watsonia 5-3, 33. It's about where we expected it to be, I think. Maybe a bit closer, but Whittlesea, they're keen to get back up.
Yeah, and they're doing everything right so far. So they're beating the teams they should. They're beating them well. Doing very well.
And we'll finish off there in Northcote Park. 10-8-68 were defeated by Lower Plenty, who have got their skates on and got cracking this year. Lower Plenty 18-13, 121. Great win by Lower.
Yeah, away too. But, the home of the Northcote Park ground, which is, I love playing football there, Bill Laurie Oval. So, it's one of those things that they're probably one of those teams of the in-between teams that can probably shock a few by the end of the year. Probably some games they're probably disappointed in the last few weeks. So I really think that, they'll be a watch and see.
Want to talk to you about a couple of things before we wrap up. That's a bit of the footy, and we'll try and keep this short for another 5 minutes, and we'll let everyone get on with their Sunday. Huge show next week. Darren Collins is coming on as our guest host. He is the most requested player we've had from the DVFL Legends to have on the show. He still has a bit of a cult following. Fair to say we might have a couple of Jim Beams on the counter as well. I'll have one with him. He is a ripper fella, and he's going to be a great addition to the show, Matty.
Yeah, I think we might have to watch the comments coming through, though. We might have to censor a few of them, so a few of the DVFL legends. But I definitely will be a big watch for the show next week.
It will be a ripper. So next Wednesday, we will be in the studio. I'm a little bit under the weather today, so if I sound very nasally, I'm not feeling 100%. But I do want to take the opportunity to be an absolute suck here, Matt. It is my mother-in-law's birthday, Christy. Happy birthday! She is over in London relaxing, and I thought I better give her a shout out. She's a fantastic mother-in-law. She's one of the good ones, so have a very happy birthday. Now, Maddie, my jokes haven't been amazing. I'm going to finish on the joke. But before we do that, there was another correct tip in the prize from Property Services yesterday. Nathan Smith tipped Laylaw by 3 points for the $50 prize. Amazing.
Fantastic for both the winning and the 3-point win and the $50 in the pocket.
Yep. So Nathan, I contacted him earlier, sent him a message, but we will sort him out to get his $50 over to him over the next couple of days, which is great. Did you have anything else to comment before I give you one of the greatest jokes of all time, Matty?
No, I thought we'd start doing the ranking system each week to see where teams are at. So I kind of went through the results of the first few weeks.
Yep.
So probably for First Division, you've probably it's probably a little bit easier for the First Division because I reckon you've got Heidelberg as your first rank. I reckon Monty 2, the 2 on the weekend. I reckon we've got North Heidelberg at 3, and I've got Banyule at the moment at 4, beating Hurstbridge on the weekend. So I reckon that's probably more quick. Yeah. I'll go through my second division's probably a little bit harder. You've probably still got your top ones like your Whittleseys and Diamond Creeks. They're my 1, 2. After that's a pretty tough, I reckon. I've got South Morang at 3 and I've got St Mary's at 4, just from results and things like that. So it'll be interesting to monitor these through the week. I do think Whittlesea and Diamond Creek are probably the 2 standouts in second division at the moment. So it will be interesting to see how that travels. And Division 3, I think it's the same. Like you've got such quality football teams. And for me, I've got Old Paradians definitely at 1. After watching them and Fitzroy Stars, I honestly think that it's going to be tough to knock one of those 2 out of the final. I've got Mernda at 3, but with Mernda, it's more, can they get everyone on the park? I know Nipper's coming back in, a few weeks. So if they can get everyone on the park, I do think that they are a genuine, top 2 chance. And the other one for me, I reckon the Ivanhoe. I reckon I've got Ivanhoe or Old Collegians for me, and it just felt like that Ivanhoe are just tracking that a little bit better. Old Collegians got the 2 wins, albeit in the last quarter. So we'll monitor them over the first few weeks, but each week we'll just see where everyone sits. But that's where I've kind of seen it for the first few weeks.
I don't think it's unreasonable, and I think it's going to change a little bit. There's a few shocks in there so far. Laylaw getting a win off early was good, and that'll do wonders for a side like that, just to go into games. And I don't think Kilmore's that bad of a side either. But I just think that's pressure. That's what footy pressure does. For sure. All right, Matty, let's finish on absolute class. Now, my Blue Baggers got up last night, as you're well aware. I'm curious, how did your Lions go?
Next question.
All right, so my joke today is an AFL one. So Australia Post have stopped making Collingwood stamps. Do you know why?
I struggle to ask.
Because people didn't know which side to spit on. On that note, we're going to finish our first Sunday wrap-up, Bonners. I think this is a good idea just to get through Thursday and be able to have the special guest on each week. A couple of little teething issues, nothing too bad. We've upgraded the computer and everything in the software to be a bit clearer, and we'll get through it. Thank you to Ben, Tim and Lance coming on. We will probably bring them in all separately next week. It might be a little bit better, get you a better microphone as well.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining in. Until Wednesday night, we'll see you later. Thanks again.